Dear God in heaven, please help me to share this dream that I had. And please bless the hearts and minds of those that hear it. I pray this prayer in the name of your Son, Yeshua, Jesus the Christ. Amen. So I had this dream, and I want to say it was yesterday or the day before, and I came across another brother who had a dream just like mine. But the message was the same, but the way that the message was delivered was totally different. But in both cases, we was being shown a church and given a message about the church. So I want to share my dream now. And so, and I was thinking about sharing it anyway. Just let me share it. And so anyway, in the dream started off, I was with my kids, my two daughters, and this guy who I see in my dreams a lot, who I believe is an angel. And we was walking down outside, and this outside area, it was how you like you go into one shop, and it was different shops on different levels. And we was looking for something. I was like desperately looking for something, but I don't know what exactly it was that I was looking for. But I was like really, looking for something. And then I finally, me and my kids went into this little shop. It was like a little mom and pop restaurant. And the guy stayed outside and was like, oh yeah, we want to eat here. Because we went in there and we looked at the menu, even though it was a little, like little mom and pop store, but the menu had all this meat on there. I mean, all kinds of meat. It was amazing. And so we was all excited about all the meat. And so we was like, we want to stay here and eat here. This is what we're looking for. This is it right here. And then when we paid for the buffet, and the lady behind the counter told us that, she said, well, you only have an hour to eat because I'm closing up in an hour. And so we was like, okay, an hour is fine. That's no problem. And so we paid for the buffet, and then we went to our left, and on the left, it was all these different trays and trays of food, but it was all desserts. It was like, gourmet desserts, beautiful desserts, little round, little donut things, like not regular donuts, but like with icing on them or something. It was really pretty, but we was like, we don't want the dessert. We want meat. And so then we went to the right, and to the right of the room, and that's where they had all the dessert. It was all kinds of, this big giant bird, which could have been a giant turkey or a geese or something. And they had beef ribs, as I remember they were longer. So they had beef ribs. They had, I'm just remembering all this meat. Just all types of meat, just, different types of beef, just all kind of meat that I love. And so I'm really, really excited about the meat. Like, oh, this looks so good. And so this was a little mom and pop restaurant, and only had two tables. And one table could fit like 3 or 4 people, which was perfect for us. And then it was another table that was a lot bigger, and it was so much meat that they even had, and where they had the meat, they also had the condiments like, mashed potatoes, rice, and stuff like that. But they had so much meat that they even had some of the meat on the bigger table that sat like 6 to 8 people. And my kids were so excited and they was getting all their food and everything, and all, I got all this meat and everything, and my daughter just sat there because it was like the closest table instead of the other one, but it was a guy sitting there with his son. And I said, Sky, you can't sit here, somebody already sitting here. He said, oh no, it's fine, please, 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 because she was like really wanting to eat this meat, and I did too. But on my plate, I let the kids get theirs first, and then I only had put on my plate a tiny little bit of hash browns, and I was about to get all my meat because I saved enough on my plate for this meat. And the plates were like sectionals where you can section in the plates when you put the food in sections. So I had this little bitty thing of hash browns, and I'm like, oh, this rest is all my meat. And then I got a phone call, and the phone call was somebody that I knew I had to minister to. So it was an important call, and I didn't want to tell them, oh, can you call me back or anything like that. And so which I try my best to do. I try my best to take calls like that right away. They top everything else. Everything else pretty much. And so I tried to take this call to minister to this person, and I did take the call, and I stepped away to take the call. I turned my back. I didn't leave the restaurant, but I went over to the door, and I had my back to the restaurant and to my kids and everything for privacy. And I knew I was on the phone with them for like 20 or 30 minutes, and I the dream didn't reveal to me the conversation, but I just know I was ministering. So then when I get off the phone ministering to them, I turned back to my kids, and they had already eaten everything. They was contemplating getting dessert. And so I was like, oh yeah, I got to get this meat. I'm like so excited. So I go over to get my meat, and all the meat is gone. All the meat was put away. They had already put everything away. And then I went back to the lady, but the lady who had told me that I had an hour, because I knew I was only on the phone for 20, 30 minutes, she was gone, and there was another lady that was there. And I said, well, the other lady told me I had 20, 30 minutes, and I didn't even eat anything. And I really wanted to get some of that meat. And she's like, oh, and then so she went, and it was a whole bunch of meat. They was putting it away, but for some reason they put a lot of meat in back of her, in back of the counter. And she opened this silver, it was this beautiful shiny silver container that the meat was in. You know, they have those kind of containers. And so she opened this thing, and there's this big giant bird that I saw before, which I don't know if it was like a, turkey or what, but it was beautiful. It looked so juicy and so delicious. And then she showed me all this other meat. She's showing me this meat, in my mouth is like, oh, I gotta get this meat. And so anyway, she says, oh, but I can't serve this. This meat has to go somewhere else. And she said, just go upstairs. They should have meat upstairs. And I was like, oh, I didn't even notice they had it upstairs, because we were so looking at the meat, so into the meat, we didn't even notice the stairs in the back. So I looked, and I said to my kids, I said, okay, well, I'll be right back. Y'all stay here, and I'm going to go upstairs and get my meat. So I go upstairs, and I just glanced real quickly, and I saw it wasn't that many people on that floor, but I noticed that the floor was huge. It was like, this was a little mom and pop store, and it was really on like the second level, because when we walked to go into the restaurant, we had to go up some stairs. So it was like a second level. Then now I'm on a third level, and it was like a block long. This place was huge. It was just this huge, huge place. And I said, oh, so the buildings at this point must be connected to other buildings, because this place is huge. And so, but I just looked around, and I didn't see any meat really quickly. So I noticed they had another flight of stairs. So I went up that flight of stairs. And so on this flight of stairs, I saw a ton of people. So I'm like, oh yeah, they got to have meat up here, because look at all these people. And so I'm noticing the way that these people are dressed. I'm seeing guys with dressy shirts on and slacks. And I saw this one guy with a purple shirt and suspenders, and and these people wasn't all skinny. They was all kind of different sizes, and like regular people. Lady with a white dress, not white, like a beige dress on, and a beige hat, and they all looked like they was dressed up for church. And that's when I noticed. I said, oh, this is a mega church. And I was like, oh, this is a mega church, huh? So then I was just looking at the people, and I could tell like these people were, like they seem to be middle income, upper income, and everything. And I honestly, I'm looking around for this meat, but I'm getting a bad taste in my mouth. I'm getting my stomach is feeling sour, because in the dream I was like, oh, that's one of the mega churches, and they apostate messages and watered down sermons, and that's what I'm saying in the dream. Like, oh man, I gotta get out of here. Let me just get my meat and just go. And so I'm running around looking for this meat and everywhere, and I noticed I'm looking in all these doors, because this is a huge mega church. This place was huge, and they have all these rooms for all kind of different marriages, marriage ministries, single ministries, father and daughter ministries, sex addiction ministries, what else? And I'm just throwing out some names. I'm not saying I saw these exact names, but I knew they had all types of different ministries for the family, like depression or whatever, just all these different ministries like that. And still my stomach the whole time was turning like, this is a milk down, watered down mega church, and I got to get out of here. I just want to get my meat. So I'm running around everywhere looking around for the meat. No one's eating any meat. I'm looking for anybody eating meat. Nobody has, look, big giant turkey leg, which I love. And even though right now I don't even eat meat, so that's interesting. But anyway, so, but I used to love. And I don't see anybody eating any meat. So I'm running around, and I'm not finding this meat. So then I go down to the second floor, which was also a part of the church, I realized. And this place was huge. And it was hardly nobody on the second floor. And I immediately noticed they have all of this long row of places to serve meat. I'm like, oh yeah, the meat's got to be over here. And so it was like these gold granite countertops, and they had gold speckles in black countertops. It was black with like gold speckles in it. And the sink was that way as well. So they had this kind of sink and the counters. It was beautiful. And it was a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of like sink and counter little setups for serving food, like sink and counter, real gourmet. And it was like like the whole wall was full of them. It was amazing. Like, and I'm looking like, oh, where's the meat? It was tables there to serve meat and everything. And so I looked over there and I noticed was nobody over there at all. And I didn't see any meat because I'm thinking, well, maybe they got some meat left or something. And I couldn't see any evidence, nothing in the garbage, no plates that they haven't had any meat. So I'm like, man, what's going on? So I start running through that floor again, and I'm opening up all these doors, and I'm noticing all these conference rooms, and they're empty. Just very few people walking around. And I'm not finding any meat. And I'm saying to myself at this point, this mega church has no meat. And so then I went back downstairs to the original restaurant that I was at. And I was like, they don't have any meat up there. That mega church doesn't have any meat, to this lady who I believe was an angel. And she looked at me and smiles and like nods her head like, yeah, I know. Okay, and so anyway, the Holy Spirit began to minister to me about this dream, and I was led to Hebrews 5, verse 11 through 14, and it's a warning against apostasy, of whom we have many things to say and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Okay, and I know I wanted to share this message because I heard a message this morning. And it was another brother who received the exact same dream, like I was saying, like mine, but his was different in the delivery. But the same thing, an angel was showing him that, this church had no meat. They're doing these watered down sermons, and it's not enough to lead people to Christ. To have a true relationship with Christ, it's just enough to pat you on the back and make you feel good. So they're going through all these different ministries, I'm in this ministry, whether it's ministry for your marriage or things like that. But it's nothing to really bring you to condemnation about your sin. It's nothing to really bring you to a relationship with God. It's just a good feeling, this good, positive, mentality. And that's what a lot of these churches have. And they will preach you about love till they're blue in the face, but they don't teach you that God said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. Okay. It's all about, what can a church do for me? It's the mentality. How can the church help me to get more money? But and then they start to view people that come there like commodity items. Oh, let me get some members so I can get more money. That's what it's about. It's not about saving souls. It's not about helping people to have a relationship with Christ in a lot of these churches. Now, I'm not going to say they're all the same. Okay, because I know for a fact, I believe for a fact that there are definitely some good Christian churches out there, for sure. But a lot of them today are not. They are not right. And I hear it all the time. I don't know if you guys are subbed to another lady called Sister Sharon, but her YouTube channel is a different name. I can't remember. I think it's Motivator or something. But anyway, she preaches a lot about it as well. And she was in these churches ordained and all this kind of stuff. And so was I. And, I've had a lot of different experiences as well. But this is a message that God has given multiple prophets that, is about these apostate churches. So, be careful that you don't fall into that mentality, because that is, not the way of God. Okay. He wants us on strong meat. We should be going to higher and higher levels with God. And you see that there is a difference between milk in this scripture and a difference between meat. See, meat is a higher level, and that's what we should be trying to get to. So anyway, God bless you all. I pray you receive this message.